John Denver was born Henry John Deutschendorf Jr. on December 31, 1943, in Roswell, New Mexico, into a military family that rarely stayed in one place for long. His father, a United States Air Force pilot, brought both discipline and distance into the household, while frequent relocations defined Denver's early years. Moving from state to state gave him a sense of impermanence, but it also exposed him to the sweeping landscapes of America, planting the seeds for the imagery that would later shape his music. Amid this transient upbringing, Denver found comfort in creativity. At age 11, his grandmother gifted him a guitar, a simple gesture that quietly altered the course of his life. Music became both an anchor and an outlet, allowing him to express emotions that words alone could not. Those early experiences of motion, isolation, and natural beauty would later surface as recurring themes in his songwriting, helping him connect deeply with listeners who sensed authenticity in every note he played. Finding his voice and a new name. As a young adult, Denver attended Texas Tech University, where his love for folk music deepened amid the cultural shifts of the 1960s. Inspired by artists like Elvis Presley and the emerging folk movement, he began refining a musical style rooted in sincerity rather than spectacle. Eventually, he made the bold decision to move to Los Angeles to pursue music full-time. It was during this period that he adopted the name John Denver, choosing it in honor of Colorado, a place that symbolized freedom, beauty, and belonging for him, even before he lived there. The name change was more than cosmetic. It marked the creation of a public identity aligned with the values he held dear. Denver paid his dues as a songwriter, performing in small venues and collaborating with fellow musicians until his breakthrough arrived. These formative years were defined by persistence, self-discovery, and a growing confidence that his gentle, earnest voice had a place in the broader musical landscape. Breakthrough and the sound of a generation. John Denver's career took a decisive turn in 1969 when he wrote "Leaving on a Jet Plane," a song that became a major hit for Peter, Paul, and Mary. The success established him as a gifted songwriter and opened doors for his own performing career. Throughout the 1970s, Denver emerged as one of the most recognizable voices in American music, releasing a string of iconic songs including "Take Me Home, Country Roads," "Rocky Mountain High," "Annie's Song," "Sunshine on My Shoulders," and "Thank God I'm a Country Boy." His music blended folk, country, and pop into a sound that felt intimate yet universal. Audiences were drawn not only to the melodies but to the emotional clarity and optimism in his lyrics. Denver's songs celebrated home, love, and the natural world, offering comfort during a decade marked by social change. In doing so, he became a defining musical presence for millions of listeners around the world. Beyond music, film, television, and warmth on screen. While music remained his foundation, John Denver also proved himself a versatile entertainer. He appeared in numerous television specials that showcased his relaxed charm and genuine rapport with audiences. One of his most memorable acting roles came in the 1977 film Oh God, where he starred alongside comedian George Burns. The film was a commercial success and revealed Denver's natural ease on screen, perfectly balancing Burns' humor with sincerity and warmth. His performance resonated because it felt authentic rather than performative. Denver never attempted to reinvent himself as an actor. Instead, he brought the same openness that defined his music into his screen appearances. These projects broadened his appeal and reinforced his image as an approachable, kind-hearted figure. Whether singing, acting, or hosting specials, Denver had a rare ability to make audiences feel personally connected, as though he were speaking directly to them rather than performing from a distance. Activism, advocacy, and a deeper purpose. As his fame grew, John Denver increasingly used his platform to advocate for causes he believed in deeply. Environmental protection became central to his identity, reflected both in his music and his public work. He spoke passionately about conservation, wildlife preservation, and sustainable living, believing that caring for the planet was a moral responsibility. Denver also supported humanitarian efforts, serving as a spokesman for UNICEF and helping raise awareness about global hunger and peace. In the 1970s, he founded the WinStar Foundation, dedicated to environmental education and ecological balance. Beyond environmentalism, Denver stood firmly for artistic freedom. In the 1980s, he testified before the U.S. Congress against music censorship, emphasizing the importance of creative expression without fear or restriction. These efforts revealed a thoughtful, principled individual who saw his fame not as an entitlement, but as an opportunity to contribute meaningfully to the world beyond entertainment. Colorado, home, and a lasting cultural bond. John Denver's connection to Colorado became one of the most defining aspects of his life and legacy. He eventually settled in Aspen, drawn by the majesty of the Rocky Mountains and the sense of peace they offered. Colorado was more than a backdrop for Denver. It was a source of inspiration and spiritual renewal. In 1974, he was named the state's Poet Laureate, recognizing his role in capturing Colorado's essence through music. His song, Rocky Mountain High, became so closely associated with the state that it was officially adopted as one of Colorado's state songs in 2007. Similarly, Take Me Home Country Roads was embraced by West Virginia and named one of its official state songs in 2014. These honors reflected how deeply Denver's music resonated with people's sense of place and identity, transcending geography to become part of America's cultural fabric. Love, family, and the role he cherished most. John Denver's personal life was anchored by his devotion to family, a role he valued above all else. He married Annie Martell in 1967, and she became both his partner and muse, inspiring songs like the tender Annie's Song, famously written in minutes during a ski lift ride. Together, they adopted 2 children, Zachary John and Anna Kate, whom Denver often described as his greatest blessings. Fatherhood gave him a sense of purpose beyond fame. He once said that being remembered as a dad was more meaningful to him than any musical achievement. Although his marriage to Annie ended in divorce in 1982, their shared history remained deeply influential. Denver later remarried and welcomed a 3rd child, Jessie Bell, further affirming his identity as a father. Through life's changes, his commitment to his children remained constant, shaping the private man behind the public image. A tragic accident clearly understood. On October 12, 1997, John Denver died in a tragic aviation accident while piloting an experimental aircraft off the coast of California. Denver was an experienced pilot, and official investigations concluded that the crash resulted from an unintended loss of engine power due to fuel mismanagement, compounded by the aircraft's challenging fuel selector design. There was no evidence of drugs, alcohol, or intentional risk-taking. The accident was ruled just that, a tragic accident. Over time, speculation gave way to clarity, and the findings emphasized the importance of aircraft design, pilot training, and safety awareness, particularly in experimental aviation. Rather than diminishing Denver's legacy, understanding the accident in factual terms allows it to be seen as a reminder of human limitation rather than failure. It was a heartbreaking end to a life devoted to beauty, learning, and connection, not a mystery defined by wrongdoing or recklessness. A legacy rooted in humanity and hope. John Denver's legacy endures not because of perfection, but because of sincerity. His music continues to resonate with listeners who find comfort in its honesty and hope in its celebration of the natural world. He was a man who embraced wonder, believed in kindness, and used his voice to bring people closer to one another and to the planet they share. While his life included personal struggles and moments of loss, those experiences only deepened the humanity reflected in his work. Denver's songs remain a soundtrack for reflection, nostalgia, and gratitude, reminding audiences of what matters most: love, home, and responsibility to the world around us. In the end, John Denver is remembered not as a mystery, but as a human being who lived earnestly, sang truthfully, and left behind a body of work that continues to inspire care for both each other and the earth.